This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. There's a lot of momentum. You finally got rid of the, I guess what's dead weight at this point, the WCW brand. The whole invasion thing is a failed experiment. Now we're getting into our prime WWF season, that whole Rumble to WrestleMania season. Internally, I wonder, when do you feel like, hey man, we got to kick it into high gear? Does that happen before the Rumble or after the Rumble? As fans, it happens in our mind like the week of the Rumble. From there through Mania, that's like championship season, if you will, if wrestling had such a thing.
I think it's before the Rumble because you're building up. To me, the Rumble is the kickoff. So the build up to the Rumble is just as important creatively, because your build up to the Rumble is really the start of your build up to WrestleMania. And in that regard, man, Rumble, that's the first one of the season. To me, the middle, your February show, or maybe if your March show, if you're going to go in April, were, I hate to say less than, but to me, it was Rumble to Mania, really. And it's evolved since then, but at the time it's Rumble to Mania.
Let's keep it going and talk about what happens right after Vengeance. Raw is going to open with a promo duel between Ric Flair and Jericho. And then The Undertaker is going to destroy Spike Dudley in a hardcore title match, where we see a choke slam over the top rope onto the floor. My gosh, what a bump. Spike Dudley, man, he was just a human dart for you guys at times, was he not?
Spike Dudley was Gumby. As Spike, you add on to that the attitude of Spike Dudley of it was almost nonchalant. It was, yeah, what do you need? Sure. Yeah. And it wasn't even a negotiation or anything else. It was a guy that was uniquely qualified and really willing to do some crazy things in Spike. So it wasn't, hey man, you think you get Spike to do this? It's like, you could lay it out to Spike and he would just expect it. But he did some really insane things and was an absolute joy to work with.
So there's a lot of talent coming off of the invasion that are just sort of floating around. How are decisions made on who comes back and in what spot and all that? I mean, is it really as simple as here's a list of baby faces, here's a list of heels? Or what does it look like when you've really probably got a bloated roster at that point, right after the invasion, and maybe there's not enough TV time to get everybody featured?
And I don't know if there's enough creative energy to support everybody. And, that comes into play from the standpoint of what do you do with them? And not everybody stood out. Not everybody was going to be a star. And right. I think there was hope for some of the younger talent, the Jindraks of the world. And it just didn't pan out.
So I bring all that up because all of a sudden the big boss man, who's been gone off of TV since all the way back in November of 2000, he's going to attack Austin to help Booker defeat him on SmackDown in a first blood match. Why is Big Ray Traylor getting the nod here?
I just think it was timing and just kind of looking at someone, in bringing Bossman back, and I'll go back to what we've talked about before, the whole Survivor Series deal with Austin and Rock and Shane and Big Boss Man. Where the hell was he? I don't know that Bossman coming back that run it wasn't the Big Boss Man. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It wasn't that guy, that hungry guy that snap in his step. He was still a damn good worker. Ray Traylor was a damn good worker. And you think of the way that Ray came into the business as like a bodyguard for Dusty, and he was just an attraction and just kind of an attitude, but big bastard that could go. And Big Bossman was the first gimmick that he had where he worked. And it just, I think that it had worn off by this time.
So the brand split is coming, but it sounds like it keeps getting pushed back. According to the Observer, the original plan for the brand split was January 7th at Madison Square Garden. We know that's where Hunter's going to wind up coming back, but it feels like there's not really enough structure to do it yet. Was this concept of a brand split a stop and start for a long while before it actually happened, Bruce?
I think it was, in many ways, it was more of a conversation in the very beginning and looking at a way, how do you make it work?
Yeah.
And sometimes when you look at how do you make something work, it's like, well, you know what? Start it and work it out. But then that just kind of got moved and moved because, well, if we do it now, it affects this or it affects that, shit like that.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.